Welcome back to Letters from Rebellion, a space for the fears that we carry, the choices we avoid, the conformity we praise, and the chains we kiss. Reflections on courage, habits, motivation, and the inner rebellion that reshapes who we become. We're 2 weeks in 2026, and many of you are thinking about their habits. Well, let me tell you, what you repeat is what you become, whether you agree with it or not. And I'm not saying this as a metaphor, it's a sentence about mechanics. It's about how people are actually built day after day without asking for a consent even. Most of the world, they talk about habits like they are accessories, something that you add once you have figured yourself out, like the morning routines, productivity systems, habit stacking and habits hacking, small tricks to improve a life that already exists. Well, I don't think that habits work this way at all. I think habits are your actual life. They aren't tools that you use, they are processes that you submit to, and submissions happens whether you call it discipline or not. If you repeat something long enough, it stops feeling like a behavior. It will feel like more of a personality. Your body will learn it, your nervous system will be expecting it, and your mind will build expectations around it. And at that point, disagreement doesn't matter anymore. You can dislike the habit, you can criticize it, you can criticize yourself, you can talk about changing it, but it keeps going on anyway. So you don't need a habit to be big for it to matter. It just needs to be consistent. Small habits, but consistent. That's how rot starts. Not a decay in a dramatic sense of the decay of the word, but as a slow agreement with the things that you didn't choose consciously. So you wake up later than you planned again. You avoid conversations again. You reach for the same distraction when you are under pressure again. You postpone the same work again. And each time, these feels like minor things, but together they form a direction. And that direction does not care about your values. It cares about the repetition. And I call this myself with a simple habit that I made it the norm. Every evening I'd come from work, and just before I take off my clothes, I would just open my phone and start to scroll. Not to rest really, but I thought that I would decompress a bit from a long day. And it happened every night automatically. And the 30 minutes became 1 hour. And this habit, I didn't really feel that it's that destructive. So it felt deserved, honestly. But over time, it started to replace the things which I wanted to do, like reading, socializing, thinking maybe, and writing, even boredom, and forget about the health issues from that. So I didn't lose discipline. I repeated a behavior that trained my mind to avoid depth when the day ended. And that repetition shaped who I was becoming more than any intention I had to during the day of not becoming that person. So this is why I think that most attempts at change, they fail in practice, because people announce new goals while they protect the habits that they sustain the current life that they are living. Careers don't change because the evenings they stay the same. Your health will not change because your mornings are the same. Your focus will not change because the same escapes are in the same place. Your intentions will shift, the language will shift, and sometimes even environments will shift, by the repeated behavior doesn't shift. And repetition always will outrun intentions. Whatever habit stays intact, it keeps the structure intact. And this is why, or this is what the mainstream habit cultures, they avoid saying, because it keeps things safe. It keeps them optimistic and manageable. It sells you the habits are as upgrades instead of consequences. It talks about systems for success without even talking about systems of erosion, because erosion is extremely uncomfortable to name. So the rot happens when repetitions run without you being in control of it. And when the defaults replace decisions, when the same reactions they fire under the same stress, or the same escapes that appear at night, or the same compromises they get made in the name of being realistic, there is no collapse needed in this situation. It just needs consistency. And you don't rot because you failed once or twice. You rot because you repeat what weakens you until it becomes, or it starts to feel normal. So rot will be kind of a maintenance. It keeps the things running. It keeps the pace. It keeps appearances. You do what's required, you answer what's asked, and you deliver what's expected from you. And your days will keep on going the same way, and they repeat. And repetition starts doing the deciding on your behalf. You don't lose your capacity in one moment because of that, but you spend it slowly on things that they don't return it. And by the time that you notice the cost, the habit isn't the problem anymore. It's the environment that you have adapted to. And that heaviness is rehearsed. It was not a surprise. On the other hand, rewiring works the same way, and this is where people misunderstand it completely. They think that rewiring means that you need to motivate yourself, you need a breakthrough, or you need to finally get serious. They think that rewiring needs intensity, but in fact it doesn't. Rewiring starts with interferences, small interruptions. You interrupt something that you usually do, one pattern, one reflex, one repeated move. And you don't replace it with something like really inspiring, you replace it with something deliberate. For example, if rot will look like opening your phone every time your mind goes quiet, rewiring will look like letting this quiet moment stay long enough until it becomes uncomfortable. If rot will look like avoiding difficult work by staying busy, rewiring will look like doing less, slower, but with attention. If rot looks like postponing conversations indefinitely, rewiring will look like having one of them badly, even imperfectly, but not undoing it afterwards. And none of these interruptions will make you feel like a hero. In fact, it will make you feel awkward, and it feels inefficient. It feels like you're swimming against the current that you helped create. That's because you did. And your current wiring exists because it was reinforced. Not once, but repeatedly. Every time that you choose relief over effort, every time that you choose familiarity over growth, every time that you tell yourself that you'll do it tomorrow, and tomorrow is where rot survives, because tomorrow is not guaranteed. This is why change feels harder than it should. You aren't just changing a behavior, you are breaking a contract that your nervous system had been honoring faithfully. You're asking it to stop doing what's been rewarded for doing. And it will resist because this is its memory. And everywhere you go, the mainstream advice, they treat habits as moral wins. Good habits, bad habits, effective habits, ineffective habits, success habits, failure habits. That framing misses the whole point. Habits aren't good or bad, they are directional. They move you somewhere slowly, predictably, without you realizing that. If you repeat avoidance, you will become avoidant. If you repeat distraction, you will become distracted. If you repeat effort, you will become capable. If you repeat honesty, you will become difficult to fool. And none of that requires a belief system. It only requires repetition. That's why saying that when you say or when you tell yourself, I don't want to be this way, means nothing if the repetition continues. Desire doesn't rewire you. Explanation doesn't rewire you. Insight doesn't rewire you. Only replacement does. Only interruption does. And replacement does not happen all at once. It happens one repetition at a time, one interruption at a time. Under pressure, when the old patterns, they want to run the same way that they are running, and you don't let it. This is where most of the people, they quit. Not because it's impossible, but because it feels pointless at first. You're putting effort today, but the result doesn't show up today. You act differently and nothing improves right away. There's no relief, there's no reward, and there's no visible payoff. And that delay is where most of the rewiring dies. Because rewiring means changing what you do when the trigger appears. So, same situation, same urge, but different response. Nothing else needs to be changed. If the response repeats, the wiring changes. If it doesn't, then it doesn't. This is also where freedom actually forms. Freedom isn't an idea. Freedom is a structure built on repeated acts that align with what you claim matters to you. When repetition and values they match, life will feel lighter. When they don't, life will feel heavy, even when nothing is wrong. And that heaviness is a misalignment hardened into routine. It's not a mystery that you need to solve. So when I say rewire or rot, I don't mean this as a threat. I mean it as a description, because those are the only two outcomes of repetition. There is no third option where things they stay neutral. What you repeat is what you become, whether you agree with it or not. So either you rewire or you rot. And I'm not asking for a motivation. It's not. I don't care about intention. Also, it describes what I'm trying to describe is how identity is formed in real life, away from books, away from speeches, away from self-images, away from life coaches, and I don't know who else claims to tell you things. So look at your days. Look at what you do when you're really tired. Look at what you do when you are under stress. Look at what keeps happening even when you say that you want something else. This is where you start wiring. And the only way that it changes is the same way that it was built. One repetition at a time, as I told you before. One interruption at a time. And once repetition hardens into structures, there is something else that is impossible to ignore, and that is the marks that it leaves behind. Not the ideas, not the lessons that you choose, not the consequences, but the consequences that you have earned. And some of them, they shape you. Some of them, they make you sharper. Some of them, they cost you more than you have expected. And all of them, they taught you something that there is no theory could have ever taught you. Because life doesn't educate you through explanations. There is no manual for life. It teaches you through contact, through friction, through experiences. And once you stop arguing with that and understand this, the scars, they stop looking like a damage, but you start reading them as instructions. This is where we'll go next.